Hi, everybody. David Noor. Want to welcome you back to another Avneer monthly webinar. I'm delighted you're here. We are live on LinkedIn, on Facebook, YouTube, X. If you don't follow Avneer or me in some of these platforms, that's the best way to learn about these upcoming webinars. I am trying to, this year, on a consistent basis, on a monthly basis, share insights from discussions with different clients and prospective clients and partners on really this fundamental shift in go-to-market and how particularly relationship-centric firms are thinking differently about how to engage and how to influence their most valuable relationships. Make no mistake about it, for a long time, one of the myths or misperceptions has been quantity over quality. I've got 20,000 contacts on LinkedIn, embarrassingly, and I think that's true for most of us. I couldn't tell you how I know half of them. By the way, try doing this, right? You're traveling, you're going to LA, look up on LinkedIn how many people you know in a particular market. Here comes 2,000 names. And again, I don't know most of them. And by the way, I'm only there for 2 days. No way in my right mind could I figure out between Calabasas and Irvine and like where should I be spending my time. So I can't take credit for this. Somebody else mentioned, if you make the pile smaller, would the needle more readily appear? So if you're looking for a needle in a haystack, if you're increasingly looking for more operational efficiency, effectiveness, go to market, I would submit a new relationship operating system, a new trust operating system is required. So this session, I'm going to go ahead and share my slides. Where did all the leads go? Right? So increasingly more CROs and revenue leaders are interested in, how do we engage? How do we add net new opportunities? How can we continue to grow our market presence? And my supposition is fundamentally, before you can fix it, you need to see it. So if we do a quick reality check, right? Most of you're marketing pretty consistently, you're actively out there, people are networking, right? You're responding to RFPs and you're chasing market opportunities and you're tracking them, right? The challenge is the growth still feels harder than it should. If you've ever tried pushing a rope or a boulder uphill, it's just an exercise in futility. So the question is, where did all the leads go? Where are all those opportunities? And if you go through a common diagnosis, most relationship-centric firms assume one of four problems, right? We don't have enough leads. We don't have enough marketing. We're not doing enough outreach. Or there's not enough in the pipeline. We need more, right? We need more activity. We need more things happening. We need more going on. So what do? God bless them, right? They double down on activity. Let's do more. I'm just not convinced me butting my head against that wall is going to move that wall. So doing more, I'm not convinced is the answer. Look at, we'll talk about this. How many spam emails are you getting every day? How many LinkedIn solicitations are you getting every day? Adding more noise, and don't get me started on the cottage industry that's become, right? All these self-proclaimed, we can generate leads for you. It's activity, it's noise. The real problem is, the fundamental problem is not a lead problem. It's a visibility problem. What do I mean by that? You're losing deals. You're losing opportunities because you cannot see the relationship gap. Disconnected profiles, missing nodes. You cannot see influence maps. We all know the traditional org structure with boxes and reporting lines. I'm going to show you an example in a second. That's not really how things get done. You're fundamentally missing the point of this hidden influencers, hidden decision makers, and power structures. You also can't see who you already know or who knows whom, right? So missed introductions, underutilized internal networks. And again, one of my hypotheses, one of my suppositions is you know more people than you think you do. The challenge is most of us are really bad at keeping up with all of them. So before you can fix that pipeline, you have to see it clearly. You have to see the potential opportunities. And I would submit the hidden revenue killer is relationship leakage. The hidden opportunity, missed opportunity fog, opaqueness is the relationship leakage. So what do I mean by that? Revenue is lost because your firm cannot see, prioritize, or activate. I would submit its biggest asset, which is its relationships. So your inability to view those connections, right? Opaque networks, hidden gaps, your inability or unwillingness to prioritize, right? Prioritize opportunities and misaligned focus and missing key clients, relationships, and then activate those. What happens is the real relationship you already have, you don't have any visibility to. So missed opportunities and lost revenue comes from, again, your ability to see, prioritize, activate. Your most important asset, which is your relationships. Your only sustainable differentiator, your relationships. So I'm not convinced more activity is going to get us there. So then what are the symptoms of this relationship leakage? In the words of the famed philosopher, Britney Spears, right? She actually said this. I don't think this is rocket surgery. Look at this. You have a lower win rate, number one. So fewer contracts signed compared to opportunities, right? The conversion is falling off. You have longer sales cycles. What should take a month or a quarter is taking 6 months or a year. Increasingly more complex. Deals are lost late in the process. We got, again, I'm not throwing shade anybody's way, but if you've got rose-colored glasses on, yep, that deal's going to happen any day now. And now here comes somebody that you didn't know anything about, you have no visibility into, you don't know anything about what they need, right? So now deals are falling apart pretty late in the process, and then you're still doing cold outreach even though you have existing connections. If you think about these four, these are not pipeline problems. They're relationship visibility failures. The lack of visibility into relationships you have. Said another way, you know more people than you think you do. The problem is we're all really bad at keeping up with them. Who was that person you met at that conference 6 months ago that you never followed up with? How about that, right? You had that great conversation and they asked for something and you had every intention of following up and following through, and then good people, good intentions got busy. And we got pulled in 8 different directions. And then you're wondering why nothing ever came from that. And this isn't just my opinion. EBSTA, our friends over at EBSTA do this global B2B benchmark. And you gotta hear this. The state of B2B sales this past year wasn't good, right? So lower win rates, longer sales cycles. Yeah, deal value may have gone up, but there's fewer deals we're chasing. Here's the alarming point. 78% of reps missed their quota. You got slower, velocity delta. You got deals. Look at the deals that are slipping. So if this is what's happening in the market, why is this getting worse? The market is changing, and you've seen this yourself at an accelerated pace. What does that mean? Especially by B2B. Buying committees are larger, a lot of voices, a lot of opinions, a lot of ripple effects around any and all things we're trying to get done. Decision makers are much harder to reach, right? And then larger firms are actually moving down market. particularly in relationship-centric businesses. Think of executive search. Think of consulting, accounting, law. Years ago, the big four wouldn't touch anything less than 250K. Now they're out there taking 50K, 75K, 100K deals. So again, I asked this earlier. How many spam emails do you get each day? And if you call me and I don't know you, I'm not picking it up. And I think most people are that way. So cold outreach, does it still work? Sure. But the percentages are painful. And in many ways, it's dying. It just, we're all, right? I recently had coffee with a senior executive, and he said, number one, with all of our spam filters, your cold email, probably not going to get through. Even if you reach out with LinkedIn, that I check periodically, it's just become a barrage of people soliciting. So I ignore that. So I said, how does somebody get in front of you? How does somebody spend time with you? And they're like, through somebody I trust, through somebody I know. That's the only way that you're going to get in front of me. So then what's the answer? Did this down market threat in particular, where big firms are coming down, I would submit they're not winning because they're better. When bigger firms come and pursue opportunities against middle market, it's not because necessarily they're better. What does every firm say? We've got great people. Who shows up and says, oh, our people are awful? Our people are so bad, you should run. Nobody says that. Everybody says we've got a fantastic team, right? Really bright people, great. So why are they winning? They have deeper relationships. Not just more, deeper. They have much stronger internal coordination of those relationships, and they have an incredible, often global visibility across their network. So you need to hear this, that access and influence beats activity. You doing more, you sending out more emails, you cold calling more people, it doesn't even come close to who has access, who has influence. And by the way, the bigger firms are central in rooms and conversations you're not in because they have those relationships. I have sat in on senior leadership and board conversations where they bring up a firm, big recognizable firm, and a partner at that firm that somebody has worked with before, somebody knows. Guess what's not part of that conversation? The middle market company that would be more responsive, would be more affordable, would be more probably impactful, but they're not in that room. They're not in that conversation. They don't have access. They don't have sponsors. They don't have supporters. They don't have advocates on their behalf. So you sending out another email isn't going to get you into that room and that conversation. And your 4,870-second follow-up isn't going to make a difference. Are you understanding? Do you proactively nurture the left-hand side of the box, bottom, access and influence? Access and influence beats activity. So if we diagnose your firm, this is the time for real introspection, right? Ask yourself honestly. Ask yourself honestly, who already knows the economic buyer, right? Can you answer within your firm? Can your firm answer these questions, right? Who already knows the economic buyer? Who influences the decision behind the scenes? There's always that Wizard of Oz, right? Behind the screen, there's somebody influencing kind of what happens. And which relationships are strongest, healthiest, most relevant to our desired outcomes? So forget just advocates and detractors. Who's, right, singing our praises? Who's advocating on our behalf? And by the way, if you cannot answer those three questions, you're flying blind into the relationships you need that you don't have or you don't have access to. If you cannot answer those three questions, you got to keep throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. And I'm trying to tell you, it's a really busy wall. And it's increasingly getting more difficult to set yourself apart from everybody else that offers consulting or coaching or right lead gen or commercial real estate or accounting or law, or just go down the list of any and all those highly relationship centric businesses where they don't have a button and they can push the button and the green light comes on. So are you still trying to grow your business, grow your revenue, grow your opportunities with blindfolds on? Are you still trying to navigate this complex maze, right, with fog that just doesn't show you that path? So if we just did a quick self-assessment exercise, right? Score your firm, let's just say a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the highest, on 4 questions. I'm going to ask 4 questions, right? Visibility into who knows whom, clarity on decision influencers, shared relationship intelligence across different partners, stakeholders, and then are you intentional in prioritizing that relationship? If you, right, score yourself based on those 4, would you believe most firms score 2 or lower? So in some ways, this is like flossing. We know we need to do it. And it pains me every time I go to the dentist because they're scraping. I'm like, I got to floss more. This is the exact same thing. And we're live on LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube and X. And you watching this, you know relationships are important for the growth, for the viability, for the health, for the not just surviving, but thriving in this busy market. My question of you is, how well are you thinking about those 4 attributes, those 4 opportunities? Do we have visibility? Do we have clarity? Do we have shared relationship insights, ideally actionable? And then are we being intentional about which relationships we choose to invest in? So you have to know there's this invisible gap. The gap that's costing you opportunities and deals is the gap between who your firm knows, right? This is contacts, this is CRM, this is known networks, this is, right, the people in your orb. You ready? Here's the gap. With who actually influences decisions, right? What are those key, who are those key consultants? Who are the silent partners? Who's the CFO behind the scene? Who's the hidden board member? Are there influential peers? Right? So the true influencers, the shadow networks, the decision makers, the gap between who you think you know and who you really need to know, and who are those actual influencers and decision makers, that gap is where your deals are slipping. That gap is where your deals are disappearing. And it is a Grand Canyon-sized gap between who you think you know and their influence, their access, their ability to advocate on your behalf. You've got a phenomenal product or a phenomenal solution. I've got a client right now, unbelievable cybersecurity client. Phenomenal, right? You really unique value add. You know what they're blind to? More activity will get us there. Let's just do more. I get an email. I'm an advisor and investor to this firm. I get an email from one of their sales reps. Misspelled name. Looks like cut and paste. Little to no insights about in 2026. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You just shot yourself in the foot when I first opened that email. No, thank you. So more activity isn't the answer. It's influence, it's access, it's hidden relationships. How do we uncover them? How do we determine their real strength, their health, their relevance? Friends don't ghost friends. So are people being responsive to what you're doing and how you're doing it? Are you adding unique value? And again, if you've heard me speak or present, you've seen this. I played soccer for a long time. My son played lacrosse. Daughter played soccer. We were at the San Jose Sharks hockey game the other night. Every one of these dynamic games reinforces for me that 90% of these games are played when you don't have the ball or you don't have the puck. And the best teams are comprised of players who are always asking, where should I be? What should I be doing? How do I put myself and my team in the best possible position so when we do get the ball or the puck, we can do something about it? That pitch, that hockey ice is your market. And a really good question for you and all of your team members to ask is, where should we be? What should we be doing? How do we put ourselves and our teams in the best possible position so when we do get the ball or we get the puck, we can do something about it? By the way, appreciate, here you go. Let's see, Ratchet is jumping in. Poorly personalized or written emails are downright criminal. Amen. Amen. Oh my gosh. Like, how many of these do we all get every day? Right? Dear name. It's like, are you kidding? Dear name. Oh, my favorite. David, we have extensively researched you and believe you have a lot of potential in. Have you ever thought about writing a book? Yeah, I've written a few. So it screams, you don't know me. You don't know anything about me. And hey, let's just do more of that. That is seriously somebody's answer to this, which is, let's just do more of that. Let's just beat them over the head with this volume. So you're exactly right. Ajita said it's criminal. You contributing to that noise isn't helping. So I'm a huge proponent that every organization has these hidden relationship assets, right? You have relationship capital, a lot more than you think. Here you go. Here's five unique buckets, right? You ready? Number one, former clients. Client alumni are some of your least expensive, most value. They already know you. They already like you. Hopefully they already trust you. They, right? Joanne's jumping in with, I got that write a book email. It's just joy. It doesn't make you cringe. Like, oh my God, you just Google my name and I guarantee you it will come up. It's sad in so many ways, but former clients, I'm a huge believer of this. I'm blessed. I am headed to Zurich, Switzerland, to work with a client that I think heard me speak in 2008. Right. And I've stayed in touch, and they get my newsletter and they watch some of these webinars from time to time. And right, they see some of the LinkedIn posts, and so they remember you. And when the opportunity comes up, I don't know about your business. Mine is a lot of times event driven. They may not need me today, tomorrow, next week, or next month, but something happens in their business and the light bulb goes off. This is a relationship issue. And maybe it's something we should focus on or reach out to that person. So I'm a big believer of nurturing your former clients. Number two, dormant contacts. You met them at that conference. You met them at that event. You had a great conversation. You really good visit. Just haven't nurtured it. So going back and looking at, and for our younger audience, that illustration is this thing called a Rolodex. We used to have one on our desks. You would attach these cardboard things to them called business cards, right? Or you would write all that information in, right? But they're dormant. We haven't connected with them. Board connections. A lot of times, this is not the reason to do it, but I'm a big believer of find one or two causes you're passionate about. It could be children, it could be homeless, it could be education, it could be healthcare, any of those. And if you approach them with a heart of service, and if you approach a nonprofit with a fundamental belief that I can improve their condition, I can add value here, other board members notice, and they'll reach out to you. Hey, by the way, I appreciate that you're on this, and get involved. Don't just show up like, who can show up to board meetings? People with a pulse. You know who adds value in board meetings? People who actually contribute, people who join committees, people who raise their hand and say, I'm willing to help. So a lot of those, if you go with a heart of service, if you make a difference in a nonprofit, those board members notice. You join a nonprofit board. That's a really good starting place. A community, civic board. That then leads to maybe a small private company board. But if you create impact, those other board members who are often highly influential take notice. And at some point, they'll ask you, Sam, what do you do for a living? Love to meet you over a cup of coffee and get to know you better. Partner networks. This is you activating an army of other people that are out there talking to the same prospects or clients that you are. So in Avneer, we're actively adding channel partners. I'm interested in sales consultants. I'm interested in sales trainers, people that go in and do go-to-market processes, because you know what? They're talking to some of the same people that we are. And the last but not least, alumni relationships. I asked a client a couple of days ago, tell me how actively you guys are nurturing your alumni. Well, we're passive about it, but not really active. Are you kidding me? These are people that hopefully had a good experience with you while they were with you. It could be an employee alumni. It could be the first box, customer alumni. They were a customer of yours, either in your previous role or theirs, and you've neglected them. So each of these 5 boxes, what I hope they're highlighting is that you don't have a scarcity problem. This isn't a lack of leads. You have a visibility problem. So when the relationships are unmapped or overlooked or forgotten, they're waiting to be leveraged. And this is a critical point that a lot of people miss. We need more leads. No, you really don't. You need to reconnect, re-engage the relationships you already have. I'm gonna pound this point home. You know more people than you think you do. We're just all really bad at keeping up with them. And this point is critical. Your more is trying to figure out the image on the right? Traditional org chart and who sits where and lines of hierarchical and the bureaucracy that's on the right. Guess what? Things get done based on trust and expertise and relationships and informal power, basically the left. So the influence network is dramatically more powerful, more impactful than the org chart. Who has access? Who has influence? Who can get things done? Who is credible, within that organization? So again, a really good exercise, and I'm doing this as a webinar for a couple of clients that are coming up, is this idea of relationship mapping. So if you map one opportunity, can you identify that internal champion? By the way, we all like spending time with people who like us. I need all the friends I can get. But is that person a friend, a coach, or really a champion? And you know what champions have? Influence. You know what champions have? Access. Who's the technical buyer? Now, I know you might not be selling technology, but you're selling some sort of technical competency, capability, methodology, expertise. Who's the technical buyer? Or the external influences. I don't like surprises. I don't want to hear about some consultant that's been involved in my project, for 6 months whom I've never met or know anything about. And then ultimately that economic buyer. Now ask yourself, who in your firm already knows them? Is there somebody that already knows some of these contacts? Equally valuable. And this is the part. Most firms seldom dig deeper here. Oh yeah, we have a contact. Might as well be white pages. Again, for our younger audience, white pages were these things that were printed, that were dropped off at our door, houses, right? But there's digital version of white pages now. They'll go unnamed. But if you get it just a name, that's just that is not a relationship. That's a contact. If you do this exercise, what you'll discover, what you uncover is that you have warm paths to these people that you've never known, you've never used. You could get introductions that have never happened. You can get decision influence that's never mapped, like the previous image I showed you. This is where revenue hides. This is where revenue hides, This previous image, This left-hand side, this is where revenue is hiding. This is where you have no visibility into who's in fact influencing, who's in fact making those decisions. So why do firms miss this? Right? There's a lot of intelligent people in a lot of these companies. So top of this infographic, right? Relationships, one of the biggest challenges, it lives in people's heads. I got to tell you, I can't remember what I had for breakfast today, much less who did I meet with and who did I know in that account and what was that person's name? Might as well be Portuguese. 2, CRM tracks activities, email, calendar, event, transactions, not influence. So you're missing the hidden connections and the power of those connections. And number 3, most people inside a company, partners, operate in silos. This is my sandbox. Please don't pee in my sandbox. I don't want you messing with somebody that I play pickleball with. So they work in their own silos, and it's very fragmented communication, little to no visibility, little to no knowledge transfer. So firms, because of the 1, 2, 3 up top, firms cannot see their social graph. They cannot see, right? Who do we know? Who do we have access to? What's the real cost? Lower win rates. You're spending a whole lot of calories, whole lot of cycles, which is the second one, longer sales cycles, right? Things that could have taken a couple months are now taking 6+. And then lost deals to better connected competitors, not more competent competitors, not more capable competitors, competitors who have better, stronger, deeper, more valuable, more influential relationships. And you're not losing these because lack of capability or lack of leads. You're losing them because of lack of visibility. You have a strong team. You just don't have visibility into those highly influential relationships. So before you fix the pipeline, you got to diagnose what's our relationship visibility, what's our influence coverage, and where's our connection gaps. Without those 3 things, you're going to, sure, I can throw more leads at the top of the funnel. Doesn't mean that anything's going to come out the bottom, right? Because you have a relationship visibility leakage. You can't identify who do we know, who's influential, who is instrumental to the organization moving these things forward. So as you may recall, I wrote about this extensively in Relationship Economics. There's 6 unique phases to strategic relationships. On the left-hand side, you start with mapping. The center of relating, nurturing, requesting, sustaining is the engine. Ultimately, the real opportunity is capitalizing. Said another way, prepare. How do I plan? How do I execute? And that's where the results come from. Most people I meet don't do enough on the prep and the plan. Hey, let's just jump in and again, activity, doing more is an execute. Are we efficient? Relationship maps should be built before you approach an account, right? Not while in the middle of it or middle of a deal without you knowing who the heck is who and who does what. And what we're trying to do with Avneer is really create this intelligent relationship operating system, this intelligent trust operating system that takes, right, the way we used to do things in the past and introduces AI orchestration, AI to do the heavy lifting. So very simple, very clean look and feel that allows you to proactively nurture your most valuable relationships. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're doing with Avneer. 20 existing customers that are actively using it to nurture the relationships, and we're getting some really, really strong use cases. So what's next? We'll send you a follow-up email. We've built a relationship assessment. It's very simple. It takes a few minutes. It might be really useful to you. If you go to avneerinsights.com, you can see what we're building, and you can request early access. That's the phase we're in. By the way, you guys are going to chuckle. In one of my previous jobs, I told people that I was new in that job for the first 5 years. I'm sorry. I'm new here. I think I'm going to stay in beta for like the next 5 years, because I got to tell you, I love the learning opportunity, love the conversations we're having with really interesting people around use cases, trying to figure out what's working, what's not working. And I hope you'll mark your calendar. Our next webinar, Tuesday, April 7th. That is, by the way, Mrs. Noor's birthday. So if you come join us, you need to say happy birthday, Mrs. Noor. 1 p.m. Eastern, I do these. We're going to talk about why networking isn't working. There's a lot of people I still meet that are out in the market trying to network. It's one letter away from not working, right? So we're going to talk a lot about why networking isn't working, and it just continues to be an ongoing challenge, ongoing opportunity. So on that note, I'm David Noor. There's my contact info. If there's anything I can do to help, or if we can support you in any way, like I said, we're actively looking for early access partners, design partners, beta customers that are willing to come along this journey with us and really make their most important relationships, their most valuable relationships, more visible. So if this content, if my work on relationship economics is of interest and value to you, I'd love to talk to you. Reach out through LinkedIn, reach out through email, and let's figure out if we're the right opportunity for you. Again, April 7th is our next date. I'm doing these once a month. April 7th, 1 o'clock Eastern. Come join us. I'm going to prove to you why most networking doesn't work. If you have the green relationship economics book, the entire first chapter is on this concept. And now we've even taken it further and trying to give you hopefully a little more insights into how to think about and do things differently. So on behalf of the Avneer team, I'm David Noor. Thanks for being here. Hope you'll make time to join us. Jump in with your comments. And I'm active on LinkedIn. I'm active on these various channels. And I make sure you answer your questions. Thanks for being here. Look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take care, everybody. All the best. Bye-bye.